Greetings and bright blessings, croeso and welcome to Magic Soup, a super spiritual, wild, weird and sometimes extremely witchy podcast hosted by myself, Holly Charles, also known as Holistic Holly. I simply ask that you listen with an open heart and open mind, taking what resonates and leaving what doesn't. Thanks for being here. Diolch yn fawr. Let's dive in. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Magic Soup. It is so lovely to have you here. I deeply appreciate you joining. Today is an exciting episode. It's been long overdue actually. I would like to introduce a friend of mine to you. So this is my first episode obviously that I have a guest on, and this is my beautiful friend Bernie. Hi Bernie.
Hello.
Me and Bernie have known each other for quite a long time, about 12 years now, and we've been working on a project together called the Contact Sessions, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I just want to introduce Bernie a little bit more to you. So Bernie and I, as I said, we've known each other for a long time. She is an incredible, mystical, magical being. She's an integrated therapist, trained in shiatsu and Emmett technique, and in lots of other kind of disciplines and traditions as well. A former nun, interestingly enough, and just a beautiful, beautiful soul. I know I probably haven't done you justice. You're an artist as well, which the look on your face, you're like, I suppose I am. You are an artist as well. So is there anything you want to say at this point before I plough forward?
No, I'm just that's a brilliant introduction. I'm saying, is that me really?
I know, I knew you would. I was thinking last night about what would I say to introduce Bernie and how, and I was like, whatever I say, she's gonna be like, really? You're talking about me? Is that little old me?
Yeah, absolutely.
And over the years we've had so many fantastic conversations. I mean, the fact that you were a nun for a period of your life, that you were raised in the Catholic faith. I've even been to the church that you would attend growing up in Cardiff. So we've had many conversations over the years about, evolving spirituality and things in our times. And the reason that we've kind of come together now for this conversation is probably something when we first met that neither of us would ever have imagined that we'd be coming together for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know. So I haven't got any questions prepared really, because we actually came here just to talk about the contact sessions and the project that we're doing. And I don't want to be just talking and not giving you much space to kind of step in.
Okay.
So is there anything about yourself that you feel that you need, that I haven't kind of mentioned?
I don't think so, except that as you say, I was born and brought up in Cardiff in sort of a large family, and it was like, for me, I was always very quiet and very shy. So over the years, I've realised, throughout my life, as I look back, what's been happening is it's been the discovery of myself. It's been that just finding my voice, and I think my Catholic upbringing was really shaped the first half of my life. So the second half of my life has been kind of unravelling that. Yeah. That's kind of what it's been about, really.
Yeah.
So when you're describing me too as like a mystical being, and I thought, am I really?
You really are.
And it's because I think for what's happened to me, my evolution, if you like, my growth spiritually has been tied up with just a self-development, what I class as self-development, and just learning to deal with and unravel some of the emotions and the grief as well from that early part of my life. Just that it was like a complete change for me, so that I've arrived at this point now that, as you say, I would never have imagined even 5 years ago sitting here having a conversation with you.
That's so true.
And engaging with the contact sessions, being part of that again, even a few years ago I wouldn't have dreamt I'd be here doing this. But it's beautiful because it's just, I felt like it's really opened me out.
And it has been doing that for me, and we will explain what they are in a minute. There's another thing you and I have in common, is that we're both life path 9s.
Yeah.
And I think that's significant too, for the conversations that we have and the things that we both bring to the table in this kind of collaborative space. Because life path 9s are, spiritual teachers. We are about, sharing knowledge and bringing that higher wisdom to people. And I think sharing these conversations, as we're going to be doing, is going to be giving you that opportunity to really shine in that area and step into the energy of the life path 9, because we've talked about this before, and the wealth of knowledge you have is extraordinary. And the number of workshops, or we've just come back from retreat now, beautiful retreat in mid Wales, and I'm always like, what do you think, Bern? Have you got anything to input, Bern? Is there anything that I haven't said that you would like to elaborate on? Because you bring so much knowledge to the table.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's like I often don't think I have so much knowledge. And I think it's because, like, when I sort of kind of realised I was a life path 9 and what that kind of entailed, I was thinking, a number of my family were teachers. So I have in my head, if I'm a teacher, it's, the model is what I grew up with. Like, my mum was a teacher, my dad became a teacher later on, a couple of my sisters were as well, or 3 of them were teachers. So, my aunties and uncles were teachers. So for me, it's like, yes, you've got like a wealth of knowledge, you stand in front of somebody or a group of people, and you give them the knowledge, or you talk and share stuff. And then I've sort of kind of realised, like in your development group, for instance, that I'm part of with you, I've realised that sometimes when I share something, it resonates with somebody else. And then even at the weekend, actually, the retreat we were on just recently, a couple of people said something to me, and I thought, oh, actually, I don't know whether it's inspired or given them something to think about then. And in fact, that happened in another group a few years ago, a completely different group, that when I was leaving that group, again, a similar sort of thing, they were just saying what I brought to the group.
I remember we had a conversation about it.
And I just thought, ooh, I hadn't, I just really genuinely hadn't realised, and I think I hadn't, it's sort of kind of realised that in the sharing and in the talking, that's where I'm teaching.
Yes.
And I suppose, again, being with you, seeing how you work and operate, it's very different. And it comes down to the fact we're very different personalities.
Absolutely.
And it's like I kind of hadn't taken that on board, or hadn't realised that,
And I think there's so many different styles of teaching, and there's a lot to be said, about that, teacher standing up and explaining things, kind of teaching, or the way I do, where we sit around in a group together and we just converse and have conversations. And I think there is so much, information that we learn just from having conversations and interesting conversations, and bringing a different perspective or a different type of wisdom to the conversation. I think sometimes that can be more impactful to a person, because the seeds, it's almost like guerrilla teaching, like guerrilla seed planting. I think sometimes it's those conversations that can be more impactful, because they kind of happen, surreptitiously. And that's where there's medicine in that as well.
Sure.
So it's creating opportunities for these conversations.
Absolutely.
These healing and wisdom sharing conversations.
Sure.
And I do think that is my style of teaching. I don't really ever, I can't imagine myself with a whiteboard and or a projector, putting up some visuals. But who knows? Never say never. But I think there's something really important about that. So that's why it's lovely that it has come about that the two of us are the main people for these contact conversations, these contact sessions. So should we dive in and start talking about those?
Yeah, let's do
it. The contact sessions are something that I started at the beginning of this year, 2025. And it was something that was very much inspired. I remember when I first started having conversations around, look, I feel like I'm being inspired to do this. I feel like I'm being pushed to create this project that I'm going to call the contact sessions. And originally it was about documenting and gathering evidence of contact with beings in higher dimensions. At the time, I was having, this is going to sound so far out, and I realised I don't have to filter myself. I realised that I was having almost like telepathic or clairvoyant conversations with extraterrestrial beings. I realised that a lot of the guides that have been with me a long time, that I rightfully or wrongfully, or just from where my level of acceptance was, I just believed they were spirit guides, you know. And then exploring deeper into the topic around it all and watching more channelers, you know, like Bashar and Lee Harris and Daryl Anker, should I say, but and people like Elizabeth April, I started to sort of question then, and when I asked the questions, it's all about asking the right questions of your guides and what have you. And I realised that guides that had been quite significant in my work were actually extraterrestrial and interdimensional, not necessarily spirit, in inverted commas, spirit guides. So with that realization, the series of synchronicities and magical coincidences were literally like not even turned up to 11, like turned up to 150. It was insane. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I went ahead and booked the space. We're actually recording in the space at the moment. It's the Yurt at Tinseller Farm in Margam in South Wales. I went and booked the space, and I was like, just book it every 2 weeks for the whole of the year. I was like, I'm going in, I'm all in. So it started as something very much like the Skull experiments, where they sat in a blacked out basement for consistently for a number of years and recorded extraordinary phenomena, having contact with non-physical entities of all different types. And I was really inspired by that. I was guided by that really in many ways, because I thought to myself, look, I'm running a development circle. I meditate weekly, monthly, you know, with so many different people, and we are having these experiences. We're having this contact with these beings. We're having angels come and sit next to us when we're doing certain things. Like, we are aware that they're there, you know. So why not try and see what we can capture on camera when they draw close, or what recordings we might pick up on, because there's these phenomena where, you know, recordings show up on tapes when you don't hear it you don't hear it with your ears, but it shows up on tape. So I wondered, what can we record? Anyway, fast forward a bit. Our surroundings weren't appropriate, were they?
No.
For that level of scientific observation, there was too many things that we had to try and control that we couldn't. You know, we're on a farm. There's, you know, quite a busy road. Yeah. And so, like, when we were doing the recordings, there was just too much background noise. There was too many things that would make people dismiss anything that we kind of had to share. But, you know, it wasn't for evidence as such. Yes, we were doing it to record evidence, but it wasn't for the evidence. We wanted, because this brings up the other conversation, and I realise I'll give you opportunity to speak in a minute. I'm just trying to explain.
You're doing fine. You're doing great.
There's something else that has been very important to me, and coming back from the Starlight Retreat this weekend, where we had a lot of conversations around this, talk about disclosure. We're talking about the public awareness of extraterrestrial, interdimensional beings already being amongst us, the increased frequency of UFOs, UAPs, and all of that activity that's really gaining traction. There's a lot of freedom of information stuff coming out now. I think a lot of stuff being leaked on purpose. The general paradigm now is people know that we're not alone. And we have been warned about false flag attacks. We've been warned about, the uniting of humanity under the guise of a hostile extraterrestrial threat. And so another key thing that I wanted to bring out into the open was, look, we're having regular contact with these beings. They come in love, they bring healing, they're altruistic, they're here to assist humanity. So it was to put people's mind at ease and eradicate fear as soon as we could, as soon as kind of the mainstream hostility, that hostile alien threat was starting to be projected into the mainstream media. I wanted to be able to counter it with, look at this catalogue of evidence that we have that they're not hostile, that they're here for humanity's evolution and to assist us. And I know there's a lot of people doing that work around the world already, but the more of us doing it, the better. And my guides were adamant that this is what needed to be done. And me, I'm very much, if you book it, they will come. Very much like that. So that was where it started. And it soon evolved. So do you want to talk a little bit about how it evolved?
Yeah, well, for me it was when you'd asked me to take part, and I just thought, oh my goodness, it's a new, literally another dimension for me.
Literally another dimension.
Yeah, it's another step in my own evolution, if you like, my own growth. So, and again, I go back to what I said before, that, a few years ago, this wouldn't have entered my consciousness, as it were. But I thought, oh, this is something different, something exciting. And also what I found was, it's personally, it's opened me up and given me more, just an openness to what or whoever, or because in recent years I've sort of realised, yes, of course we're not alone, and I've become more kind of used to the idea of extraterrestrials, but the communication on a personal level, then I've always had angels. I grew up with angels, guardian angel, and particularly Archangel Gabriel and Michael. But the concept of angels, that was always with me anyway. And then it's expanded in my own meditation. Like there's been other images and, for want of a better word, visitations, if you like, of other beings, other guides, as I saw it. Maybe they were extraterrestrial, maybe not.
Who knows?
Who knows? And again, the whole concept of dragons has come into my awareness then, and that sits comfortably with me now, whereas several years ago it wouldn't have done. So in talking about the evolution then of the contact sessions and how we started off, there was a bigger group of us anyway, wasn't there? There was several of us, and we realized that the messages really is, for me, I think I came across something that said that was talking about the more people talk or share their information, share their knowledge, the more it becomes sort of natural, and it's not something out of the ordinary, it's not something extraordinary, it's natural, and that we all have we're all telepathic, we all have that ability.
Absolutely.
We all have the ability to channel and talk to any beings who may be come into our consciousness. Then we all have that ability, we just don't use it. And that's so very true for myself. It's like I just think, well, I'm just an ordinary person that's, I'm not anything special in terms of, I'm not some astrologer, been in that field for thousands of years or hundreds of years or whatever. I'm not a great historian, or I'm not somebody who's written loads of books about stuff. I see myself like just an ordinary person. So then if I can contact or be in contact, if I can receive messages, if I can channel, then anybody can. So, and I think, as I say, that's the important thing, that it's for anybody and everybody
Absolutely.
who is open to receive.
Absolutely.
But I think, obviously, like in the contact sessions, it's a very safe environment too.
Yeah.
It's about setting it up so that it is safe.
Yeah.
For those of us taking part.
Yeah.
But then we can share whatever information we receive, so that then other people can, maybe it'll impact their own lives, their own spiritual journey, their own path through life.
Yeah.
So yes, to enable others to, and that's how it's evolved, from what was something maybe for ourselves, but always with a vision, idea to share.
Yes.
But it's become, I don't know, more, I keep wanting to say the word open.
It is more open, and when we removed the restrictions of what our original kind of manifesto was, because, and I was quite discouraged because it's too light. Like we're in the yurt in this space, and they changed the cover so we couldn't block the light out. And the thing about the skull experiments was that it was done in complete and utter darkness, which so it would make it easier, and we couldn't do that. We couldn't do that, and I almost threw my hands up in the air, quite literally, and was like, listen, maybe we need to postpone this, maybe we need to put a pin in it. Like, I know it's important and spirit guide me, but we just haven't got the appropriate venue for it. And we met that day anyway, and we sat outside under a tree. It was so beautiful. And we sat outside under a tree instead of being in the yurt, because it was a beautiful day outside. And we sat and we meditated. And the messages that came in were so beautiful, and it was, you must continue. Like, this isn't about you and your community, this is about the legacy of the messages that are coming through, and the messages are coming through because humanity needs them. And the guardians of the land actually came forward and said, and the land needs this energy to be channeled in as well. So not only are we bringing these messages through, but we're also raising the frequency in this locality, which is also then having its own ripple effect, which is a whole other conversation. But so then we started coming together to meditate together. And what we were doing was writing down everything that was coming through. Again, we receive in lots of different ways, open to whoever wanted to come through in love, in truth, in sincerity, for the highest good of ourselves and for humanity. Very a belt and braces protective approach to make sure that we were protected, and that any beings that were drawing close were doing so with positive intentions. And so we would sit and we would write down and sometimes channel whatever was coming through, and then we would come together and hit the record button and record our conversations about what it is that we received. And we did this for a few months until the messages started coming in. You need to start sharing. You need to start getting it out there. These are not just for you, these are for humanity. You need to start sharing it with the world. So then I started playing around, well, how can I get this out? How can I share these? And they're up on my website. But I don't think many people come across my website just to go, oh, what's this? What's this tab? The contact sessions? What's this? So, I think I was given the nudge then to put them out onto this podcast, Magic Suit. But then I was like, there's some tweaking and editing and everything that needs doing. And then got back from the Starlight retreat that we did this weekend, where we were connecting with these beings. We were basking in the beautiful light of it all. Amazing. And I just felt like whatever block had been in place from stopping this conversation from happening were just completely dissolved. And I was like, this is the perfect time now to start having this conversation.
Absolutely.
And
I think it what was occurring to me as you were speaking there was the fact that it's about normalizing
Absolutely.
interaction, which is what I was trying to say before.
And you did beautifully.
But also that everybody learns or hears things at different times in their lives or at different points. You know, somebody will make a comment and won't mean a thing, and then years later the same person can make the same comment, and you think, oh yeah, why haven't I heard that before? Likewise, you know, you read a book and you think, oh, you pick it up and think, oh, that's not for me.
Yeah.
A few years later you pick it up and you think, oh wow. I mean, I did that with an Eckhart Tolle book.
Yeah.
You know, his Power of Now.
Yeah.
I bought it years and years ago, put it to one side, and first of all I looked at it and I thought, oh no, I'm not sure that's for me. Put it to one side. And then a couple of years ago I picked it up again.
And it just clicked.
And it clicked, everything clicked. So I think, you know, in creating this podcast, it just means that somebody will access it, that it'll be for them, or they may access it and think, oh no, that's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
And then they'll find some other way of accessing, but accessing, whether it's meditation or this kind of conversation, they might go and look on YouTube and say, okay, what else is out there then?
Yeah.
And who knows what comes of it? But I like I say, I always think that there's something for everybody, and different things at different times will be have an effect.
Yeah.
Or be an inspiration.
Yeah.
So it's...
And I think what's amazing, you know, for years I've had these conversations, and I was even part of another group back, a couple of years ago now, I suppose, where we were focusing on connecting with like the galactic community and preparing, you know, people for disclosure and stuff, and it sort of just petered out a bit, but we had incredible conversations, and I think that lit a match for quite a few of us to go off, but maybe come back together down the road. But having conversations that we had on the weekend, and then there were people that maybe wouldn't normally have these conversations that are like, oh my gosh, we were having this conversation on the car on the way here, or there's people that like, I haven't told anyone else this, but I've actually seen a craft. And the more we have these conversations, the more people can actually go, yeah, me too, and I'm not crazy, and it gives them confidence to have these conversations as well. But I love what you said about, you know, you're not ready for things that like the Power of Now with Eckhart Tolle, like you said, you're reading that book. And I think going back to what I said earlier about knowing that certain spirit guides that have shown themselves to me, or I've been aware of for years and years and years, not realizing that they were extraterrestrial, even though again I've been a massive Trekkie like my whole life, and like all of that, like it's putting the pieces together. And maybe at that time I would have dismissed it, thinking no, I must be crazy or what have you, or I don't know what their motivation was for not showing me, but clearly maybe I wouldn't have been ready to accept it, or had I accepted it and shared it, people around me wouldn't have taken me seriously, because I said I was communicating with aliens rather than just, you know, the angels and things that people are ready, that are palatable to people. So I think that's a huge piece. I think that's right. I think that's right. And I think maybe this conversation will bring people back to this topic in a way that actually, no, I'm kind of ready to hear it now. I'm ready to digest that now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I say, it's happened to me that, I wouldn't have... a few years ago, I don't know how many years ago, several years ago, I wouldn't have even, I wouldn't have had a conversation. I'd have been scared to have a conversation in case somebody carted me off to the funny farm, you know, it's like...
And that's a real thing. And oh my gosh, like I've even, you know, going back to, you know, I talked about the witch wound in a podcast episode a couple of episodes ago, and, you know, talking about like past life memories and stuff. And I remember doing a past life regression with a mutual friend of ours, Gareth, and I actually went back to a life where I was going to say sacrificed then. I wasn't sacrificed. I wasn't sacrificed. I was executed because I was telling everyone, look, I saw this craft come down from the sky. And it was actually, you know, it was the church a church thing, and it is interesting. We talked about this on the weekend as well, about the amount of astrological artwork that there is in the Vatican, and the fact that someone correct me please if I'm wrong, but there was at one point, and I don't know whether it's still the case, but the largest telescope in the world is actually owned by the Vatican. And they spend a lot of time and resources looking up into the sky.
See, I didn't know that, you see, when I was a Catholic, because they didn't tell me.
No, they didn't tell you that.
They didn't tell me that.
And again, it opens up the whole, the people at the top of the Catholic Church of Rosicrucians who are actually very invested in, astrology, astronomy, beings from the stars. And when you start going down those rabbit holes, the amount of religious artwork that depicts these crafts and these vessels, and again, going back into religious texts from other places around the world. If you look into the Vedic texts from ancient India, chariots of light in the sky and all that, and again, probably preaching to the choir here, the people listening to this are probably very well aware of the amount of extraterrestrial implications or mentions in our history as a species. We've never been alone, ever.
No, I was going to say it's in all the, so many ancient buildings and ziggurats and carvings and all over the world, isn't it? And it's again, it's something that, years ago I wasn't aware of. I might be aware of some of the imagery, but without really understanding what it was about. And it's I can thank the TV. What's the program that my partner watches? Ancient Aliens or something it's called. There's loads of stuff. Some of it.
Some of it you do take with a grain of salt. There's some of it is, and that I have got a bit of beef with that program. Not that I've seen all of it, but there is so much sensationalism that they include with things that kind of people then throw the baby out with the bathwater, as definitely. It was. And so. I love the work of Eric von Däniken. And one of his books I've got is it's not Chariots of the Gods. Oh my gosh, I've got the book.
Chariots of the Gods. But
I
can't remember his name.
But Eric von Däniken, anyway, he's written loads of different books, and he's basically dedicated his whole life to finding archaeological evidence of the impossible, as he calls it, of beings from other worlds, and highly credible intellectual scholar, So I think we're at this point in our history where to deny this is insane. Absolute madness, when there is so much evidence now, and it's such an exciting time to be alive. Sorry, go on.
All I was going to say was and I think because there's a general shift anyway, and even in sort of kind of ordinary everyday terms, the shift of people thinking, well, hang on a minute, there's something else going on. There's lots of information, misinformation. There's lots of people thinking, well, some of these systems are so corrupt, what's really going on? And then again with the disclosures of like the opening of the files here in the United States, releasing documents, that there's a general shift that people are more kind of ready, I suppose. And I suppose that's the thing. People are ready to listen or take notice. Not everybody, of course, but but I think there's a general shifting of awareness, consciousness generally amongst people. And people realizing, all the religions are not necessarily what they thought they were. And even though on that level people are beginning to wake up and think, oh, hang on a minute, there's something else going on here.
And I think maybe it's taken us to get to that point where there's enough people questioning the mainstream narrative that when and it's that running joke, isn't it? Well, they're not going to land on the White House lawn or any of that. But when they do start to get more visible, when they do start to show up in a way that no one can, it can't be covered up and it can't be dismissed anymore, and that people are willing, I think, more like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen so much crazy stuff in the world now that it's going to take something really insane for anyone to kind of go, absolutely not, that's impossible. Because I think all our minds have been open to, right, well, we cannot expect any level of normality, in inverted commas, in the world anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
And, you know, just as we mentioned about, you know, that uniting humanity against a common threat, it also is like uniting humanity with a common ally as well.
Absolutely.
And I mentioned on the weekend, which, you know, there's so many things I want to say, and I'm aware this conversation could go on and on and on. There's just a few things that I want to kind of make sure that I say. And I mentioned Gene Roddenbury on the weekend, who's the creator of Star Trek.
Of course, yeah.
And I've loved Star Trek since I was a little girl. There was something in it that just excited me. There was something that sparked something inside of me. And I guess it was like a remembering or like a resonance of this kind of utopian spacefaring society is kind of possible. Yeah. But I remember that Star Trek First Contact. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Oh my gosh. And basically, it talks about, in their terms, it's a historical event where Earth first made contact with the Federation. And, you know, in that timeline, when humanity realised that they weren't alone in a universe, you know, war stopped, famine stopped, poverty stopped, and they united together to explore space together, which, you know, was one of, you know, even it's a Bill Hicks quote as well. You know, if we united all the money and looked after every single man, woman, and child, we could go and explore space together. And so in this particular movie, the catalyst for that happening is contact with an intelligence, people from another world. And Gene Roddenbury is not very famously known, but I mentioned this on the weekend as well. You may have known already that actually a lot of his storylines and a lot of his information that he shared in through the storytelling narrative of Star Trek was actually channeled to him from Extraterrestrials.
Yeah, I hadn't known that before. You said it at the weekend. I thought, oh wow.
Yeah, and amazing. Whether or not they were called the Seven, I believe. Someone again fact check me, please. But whether I don't know whether he saw it as being extraterrestrial. There may have been mention of it being like an angelic channeling. But different words, same, different words, same thing. To some people believe angels and interdimensionals and extraterrestrials, they are one and the same. I think the Essenes, again, another historical reference, they definitely, walk shoulder to shoulder with these beings and, believe the same thing. Again, depending which kind of historic reference you want to look at, what pantheon you want to go to, there's definitely some food for thought there from it, looking at it through a different lens, through that different paradigm of understanding. But so many seeds have been planted through our entertainment industry, through programs like Star Trek and Stargate. Stargate SG-1 was another one that I loved, and so much of that, and I think I've watched that from beginning to end like 3 times. Every time I'm like, can we watch it again? My other half is like, not again, Hall. But again, because so much truth of different extraterrestrial races that we're aware of and technology that has been suppressed is shown to us. It's almost like drip, drip, drip.
Drip, drip. Yeah, because again, I was never into sci-fi. Well, I'm still not really. But I enjoy Star Trek, but and I think I was sort of thinking about it recently. I was thinking, oh, why not? And I think sometimes I look at it from a point of view of just like the costumes or the figures they come up with, the people with weird shaped heads
Far
and
out,
stuff.
Man.
I'm thinking, oh, come on, or sometimes it just looks too plastic. And I think, oh, I can't somebody. And I've sort of kind of realised more recently, as I've been listening to stuff on YouTube and listening to, I listen to the Kelly Kolodny, she channels Archangel Raphael.
Incredible. Check her channel out everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And it was something she said about Raphael says, because again, Archangel Raphael, I have an image of an angel with wings and stuff.
Yeah.
But Archangel Raphael said, well, really, they're not just one being. They have appeared in ways that we can understand. They're an energy force, and a spiral of energy too, and very often several different types of energies or consciousness coming together.
Yeah.
And I find that I can identify more or accept that better than like seeing like a Vulcan on Star Trek,
Yes.
It's like
Little green man.
Little green man or something,
Yeah.
That makes more sense to me, and I just don't know why, but it does.
Yeah, well, and they can.
So it goes back to again what you were saying about like different things appeal to different people at different times, and it's about different languages or different. It's no. Like for instance, going back to religions, there's lots of different religions have grown up in different parts of the world because it suits that cultural understanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it suits, so it's the different language then that will appeal. So like I say, when I think about angels as a spiral of energy, and I think, oh yeah,
beautiful.
I can really identify that.
Yeah.
Rather than some of the images of little cherubs on ceilings in churches or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And and it has been said, in conversations that I've had with angels and with other, with spirit, human, non-physical human spirits, that they can show themselves in a way that will be most relatable to you.
Yeah.
So, it wouldn't be a stretch for these beings to manifest in a way that is culturally acceptable to you, or that's not going to be jarring to your sensibilities or what have you, A friend of mine that I did my mediumship development with, she was like, I don't think angels have got wings. She was like, I never see them as that. They never show themselves to me as that. Like, why would they have wings? They're they're literally energy beings. They literally don't need physical wings. And so she was like, I never see them as that. And then one day, I can't remember which angel it was, showed up with wings. And she was like, what? And it was almost like a test and an education and stuff, really.
Okay.
But it's like, we can have them if we want to show ourselves with them. You are right. We are beings of light. We are not a physical being with physical wings. And I guess that's true of the more highly evolved, interdimensional and extraterrestrial beings as well.
Yeah, sure.
Like projecting themselves in a way that they would like to be seen.
Yeah, sure. Or that makes sense
would be
to
received.
Receiving it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got to remember, there is a spectrum of evolution. Not all extraterrestrial races. My gosh, there's what is that expression? I'm going to mince it, but like there are many stars in the sky as grains of sand on the earth, and each one of them is a solar system. So the number of races out there is literally infinite, and obviously not all of them spacefaring. We're all at different levels of our evolution, but not all of them are interested in Earth.
No,
but they're again, just perhaps opening concepts up. There is a galactic federation. There is there are organized gatherings of beings from other planets with altruistic tendencies that monitor the galaxies, and they are watching over us to make sure that we don't blow ourselves to smithereens, and they're very invested in what happens next with our evolution, and opening up what the world is and why humanity is of so much interest is a whole podcast for another day.
Oh my God,
and not necessarily needed to happen on this podcast. Who knows? If there's interest, let me know. We can talk about it. But bringing it back then to the contact conversations is that, you know, we are, and beautifully, as you put it, you know, everyday Joe, an everyday person. Like, I know for me, you know, I've worked on my mediumship development and my spiritual pathway for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you've had a spiritual life as well in many ways. But for someone who, like, well, I'm not a medium, you know, I'm not exactly.
I'm not
like,
medium, psychic, or any of that.
Yeah,
like, well,
but you are able to have these experiences, and oh my gosh, the
exactly.
things that come through to you, the experiences you have during these conversations and these situations are beautiful and incredible and life changing. And I just it's funny, I just see myself as a normal person. I'm like, anyone can do what I do. It's just practice. And I've just got a bit more practice than a lot of people, and I'm very good at kind of articulating about how to do it. But what these sessions, you know, are doing is showing that, look, we can tune in to these beings, and they are coming to us in these meditations. And even at the beginning, when we had a larger group of people, we were all being shown the same thing at relatively the same time. Like mantis beings came in. And they were showing, and even when we couldn't be together, we meditated separately and reported back to each other, and we were all being shown spirals. We were being shown the same thing. We were given the same messages in different ways. And so it's not to say, well, you know, to dismiss it. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody, and that's not my role. But just to say, look, if you're interested in doing this, you can, and you can reach out. Just do so safely. But we are going to continue to have the conversations, and so I'm going to share with you the recordings of the conversations through this podcast. So people can listen. And now when you listen, you know who Bernie is. You know, I think there's other recordings that I'm going to share that may have a couple of other people in as well. So, you know, you never know, I may introduce them in another episode or what have you. Or maybe they want to stay anonymous, and that's fine as well. But we're going to have these conversations. We're going to record these conversations. We're going to share the conversations on this podcast for you to hear the messages that our guides, our allies in the stars want to bring through. And it's not, you know, and again, it's not just extraterrestrial, and I completely, you know, it is our angels, it is earth spirits, it is because the dragons have really been involved in this.
They have.
And again, that might be too far out for some people. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You know, and go back to what I'm saying, right, well, you know, energetic beings, interdimensional beings can show themselves in the way that they want to be portrayed or perceived. So say, okay, well, it's something showing themselves as a dragon if you don't want to believe in that kind of energy. But dragons, as we know them, as is taught by Diana Cooper, who's an angels, dragons expert, you know, they are beings who exist in higher dimensions than our own, who are whose life purpose, if you like, is to be guardians of knowledge, to be protectors, to help with the evolution of humanity. You know, they're often paired up with different ascended masters and angels who work with these beings, but they are very much coming in, bringing information, transforming the energy around certain things, and they are very involved with the evolution of humanity and mankind and the planet, and they have been showing themselves and coming into these sessions from day one. And so I must give a shout out to them and express gratitude to them. I feel like we've completely glossed over that, and I do not. It's almost like I can feel like this purring of thank you for acknowledging me, thank you for acknowledging us, because that's not talked about enough. And from the get-go, it was about contact with interdimensional beings and beings in higher dimensions, not just the extraterrestrial component
Sure.
of that.
Sure.
So although we are bringing that information from these beings from other worlds, there are very much terrestrial beings getting involved in these sessions as well.
Yeah, because again, like for me, the opening up to the dragons as well, that's been an eye opener. That's been wonderful.
So powerful.
And then the other aspect of it is as well, there's a sense for me as well. It doesn't matter who's giving us the messages. It doesn't matter if they're extraterrestrials, it doesn't matter if they're angels or dragons, but it's just, it just means that there's, I guess for me it's about giving hope.
Yeah.
And being like, just opening up to the fact that, we're not alone, never have been.
No.
And it's about just remembering.
Yeah.
Remembering our essence and remembering who we are and where we fit into the cosmos, if you like.
Yes.
And that for me is what the contact sessions has done for me, is sort of helped sort of kind of trigger that kind of the idea, the notion, if you like.
Yeah.
And allowing it to just sit comfortably with me.
Yeah.
Which it probably wouldn't have done, like I say, a number of years ago, it wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
But now it does, and it's like I find it very exciting, but it's also making me want to be more grounded as well.
Yeah. And they brought that they brought that home about how important that is. Yeah.
Yeah, and how important being at one with nature is, isn't it? And,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and tuning into this, our Mother Earth, our Mama Gaia, it's like,
it's definitely, that is one thing that is definitely increased for me.
Yes.
My relationship with Gaia has, and it's almost as though that seems kind of counterintuitive, but it isn't, because we need to anchor into the earth to reach out to the heavens. And also, as our sensitivity is increasing, I suppose, as we are opening up to these channelings and these communications and these energies, I guess we're getting more sensitive to her presence.
Sure.
And who she is, and maybe that is one of the reasons why that connection is getting so much stronger, because one, we need it purely for survival with all the energies that are going on at the moment, but really I feel so much more connected. And I'm pagan. I've been for want of a better label, really, I am at one with the stars and the earth and all that, but I've used that label to try and help people understand who I am and what I'm all about, because I worship the earth, I adore the earth, I love her. And it's like I said to you earlier, like sometimes it's like you intellectualize these things but don't necessarily integrate that intellectualization, because I'm using long words, without actually, like, you have that knowledge and awareness of it sometimes without actually integrating it into your own practice, or what the implications of that mean for you on a personal level. And my relationship with nature and the earth has really deepened since the start of these sessions.
Yeah, and I think for me as well, like you say, intellectualizing or integrating what you know intellectually, that's something that's happened to me, that integration then over the last, I don't know how many years, number of years, 3, 4, 5 years, I don't know. Because I think a lot of my life, that's one thing I've done. I've gone along on these journeys, self-development journeys, spiritual journeys, and it's been in my head. And it's like just shifting it down into my body.
Yes.
And the other thing, that in connecting with the earth more, or tuning in more to the earth and grounding, it's reminding that, we're still human. We are human. After all, we're still in this physical body. We might be moving into lighter and changing it. We might be moving into connecting with extraterrestrials and other beings, galactic beings or whatever. We're still here on Earth, still on this journey on Earth. We're still, and that's,
we incarnated for the human experience, didn't we? We cannot negate that.
So that for me then, one of my practices to go out first thing when I get up in the morning and do a bit of qigong up barefoot on the grass, and that's what's happened, is that it really grounds me and reminds me, that brings me back into my body, but just enables me to tune in to literally the earth under my feet. And that's been beautiful. It's a beautiful practice, and it's and it's sort of kind of changed and it's shifted from doing more qigong to be rather going through the motions of the exercises. The qigong is almost incidental.
Yeah.
It's that tuning in.
Yeah.
That I find I need.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
And it's really sort of kind of, yeah, it balances out then the light stuff, if you like, or the heady stuff, or the starry stuff.
Yeah, that cosmic.
Otherwise, instead of floating off, it's like, oh, hang on,
yeah,
that's my anchor then. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, even from my work with the spiritual development side of things, you know, my mentor drummed into me how important grounding was, because, you know, being up in your higher chakras and not down in your human energies, it can lead to problems across the board in your life. You know, physical problems, but also like not living in the physical world, not, you know, taking care of business when it comes to important matters of life stuff, the boring human admin stuff.
Well, I think I've probably told you about, like, there was a book we had for my kids when they were little, and there was like, it's just like a little very short stories, there's even a page, and there was this one page where wherever it was, this country, there was this famous astrologer, and he was always looking at the skies, always looking at the charts, and, you know, he was well known and well respected, and one day he was walking along and he was looking up the skies, he had all his charts under his arms, and he was like mapping out, looking up what was going on there, and he fell down a hole because he hadn't realised there's a great big gaping hole in the middle of the road.
That is just the perfect expression of that. Yeah.
So that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You've got to notice that there's a big hole in the middle of the road. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, you do, and, you know, to really open to your potential energetically, you've got to be grounded. And, you know, and as you know, you attend a lot of my meditation sessions, my online sessions that I do, you know, even my logo for my business and for the grove and the Holly Grove now is a tree with these big roots down into the earth, and I think, you know, using the analogy or the symbolism of the tree, which, you know, some of you may have even heard, I may have even said it in a previous episode of this podcast, is that, you know, if a tree has got its roots deep down in the earth, like gripping soil, its branches can be more taller and stretch much further. You know, in that regard. So, you know, the deeper your roots are, the higher you can reach into heaven. But also, the deeper your roots are, it doesn't matter what storm comes through, what tornado blows through, or you know, monsoon comes in, you're not going to get unearthed. You're not going to get tipped up and tipped over because you're anchored down. And so I think, again, who knew that this was going to come out? We set our intention at the beginning that, look, whatever is going to be the most beneficial for the people listening is what going to comes out. So grounding, folks. Grounding is key. Is there anything? We were like, we'll just do a short one, 20 minutes. Who knew that this would be like a full-on thing? Is there anything else that you feel that you would like to touch on? I have pulled up the manifesto for the contact sessions, just because I thought it might be quite nice to share that. My ear's just gone.
Okay.
So someone has just drawn close to me. Something has just drawn close to me. So let me just see what they want me to share for a moment. Okay, I'm just going to share the manifesto and see.
Yeah, go for it.
That was very intense.
That's interesting.
Let me just see if this is, because obviously we reworked the manifesto when he changed what our intention was. This one I put into our conversations around May time, which I think was after the shift. So let me just share this with you. Okay, so The Contact Sessions Manifesto, a space for connection, channeling and service. The Contact Sessions are a sacred space where we come together to receive, record and share guidance from higher realms. This isn't a typical spiritual development group. It's a protected and intentional container for people who already feel connected to their spirit team or multidimensional allies and want to go deeper into their service, devotion and channeling. Each session is about opening up to what wants to come through, messages, energy and insights that aren't just for us as individuals, but for the earth, humanity and the wider communities that we support. We're here to document what we receive. These sessions create a growing body of work, a living record of messages and transmissions that may one day support others on their path too. We hold this space with care and integrity. We stay grounded, connected to the earth, while tuning into the beings who wish to work with us, from nature spirits to dragons, star beings, angels, and guardians of the earth. The Contact Sessions are about strengthening our channels, trusting what we receive, and being of service to the greater whole. They are by invitation or application only, blah, 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 blah. And I've said, look, if something about this resonates with you, and you feel called to find out more and reach out, then you're warmly invited to do so. So if you want to, this is for listeners now, if you want to keep up to date with what's being shared, just subscribe to the podcast because we are going to share it. If you live locally and would like to perhaps come along to a session to help us with this work, to share what your guides are bringing to you, then do reach out. The more the merrier. Yeah, the more the merrier. And perhaps if you live further away but are interested in this kind of work, maybe you and some people that you know in your local area could start something similar. This is for all of us. We all have this connection. We're not special.
No,
we're normal. We're normal. We're not. But again, we're not any kind of extra special people that they come to us because we're certain. Absolutely not.
No way.
No. And with all the shifting and changing and activations happening within all of our DNA at the moment, with these changes happening with the solar flares and the Schumann resonance and the galactic neighborhood that we're shifting into, there are elements unlocking within all of us. We are all getting more sensitive to receiving, and so if you do feel like you've been getting messages or receiving things through your art, through your writing, through your music, whatever it is, if you feel like it's coming from somewhere else, it may very well be. Yeah, it probably is. So amazing. And again, I could go on and on recommending podcasts and YouTube channels, and we'd be here a whole day. We'll be here a whole day. That's a whole nother episode. But please reach out. Please share with us any experiences that you've had, maybe of contact that you maybe have been too nervous to have conversations about. I came across a subreddit the other day on Reddit, which is titled Spirituality and Aliens. I only just dipped into it, but there's a lot of other people out there doing this kind of stuff as well. So it's exciting to be part of that movement, even if you don't know that you are. So it's amazing. I feel like I'm waffling now, so let's go. There's a surprise.
That's great. You don't waffle, do you?
No, never. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and we will catch you again soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much for spending time listening to my podcast. I really, really appreciate you, and I am truly, truly honoured. Remember, as the late, great Bill Hicks once said, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever. Because it's just a ride. Laugh, love, dance, sing, create and play at every opportunity, and remember, kindness first. Please don't forget to follow and subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you do not miss an episode, because who would want to do that? And I hope to catch you in the next episode of Magic Soup.